Picture this. A figure shrouded in shadow silently enters the room, making no grand entrance, drawing no attention. Yet the very air seems to thicken, heavy with an unspoken authority. Conversations fade, eyes nervously flicker, and bodies instinctively straighten, as if an unseen hand has taken command. Is this some kind of sorcery? Not at all. It's the pure, unadulterated essence of power, honed over centuries through careful observation. Now, buckle up, because today I'm going to reveal Machiavelli's secret weapon, the hidden characteristic that gives you an undeniable edge in this ruthless game we call life. As a seasoned American, a fox who's danced with the devils of politics, business, and matters of the heart, and who's thoroughly absorbed the wisdom of that Florentine master, I'll be your guide through this intricate maze.
First, let's spark your curiosity. Where are you tuning in from? Drop your location in the comments below, like fellow travelers sharing stories around a campfire. Let's see just how far this ancient wisdom reaches. Now, lean in a little closer. Imagine walking into any room, whether it's a tense boardroom showdown or a relaxed backyard get-together, without uttering a single word, without puffing up your chest or flaunting your accomplishments. And yet, the situation shifts in your favor. Conversations momentarily halt, glances linger a little longer, and people subtly adjust themselves as if drawn by an invisible magnet. Is this merely a stroke of good fortune? Some inherent charm you were simply born with? No, my friends. This is far from accidental. It's forged in the crucible of discipline, a skill as ancient as ambition itself. 500 years ago, Niccolò Machiavelli, that astute observer of both princes and commoners, wrote about this very power in his treatises on power and governance. He understood something our noisy age has sadly forgotten. The most potent weapons are often the ones you can't see. The subtle shifts that bend wills without a sound. That's precisely what we're delving into here, the hidden quality that unfairly tips the scales in your favor. No airy-fairy theories or warmed-over motivational speeches. We're dealing with cold, hard tactics you can put into practice the instant this conversation ends. If you're weary of being ignored, undervalued, or as transparent as glass, then listen closely. By the end of this, you won't just intellectually grasp influence. You'll embody it, becoming a living testament to the prince's art. But let's make this tangible. Before we proceed any further, make this pledge to yourself and share it in the comments if you dare. I claim strategic dominion. This declaration is your agreement, your signal that you're bidding farewell to the predictable, the depleted, the overlooked. You're stepping into the arena of the cunning. And while you're pondering that, give this message a thumbs up, send it to a friend who desperately needs it, and smash that subscribe button. Because the strategies we're about to unpack have the potential to reshape every interaction, every decision, every opportunity that comes your way. Let's dismantle the facade of false power. Our society often mistakes mere noise for genuine strength. People mistakenly believe that the loudest voice in the room is the one truly in control. We celebrate the constant self-promoters, the shameless braggers, the ones who try to force their ego into every nook and cranny. But heed this truth from someone who's witnessed empires rise and inevitably fall. That's not real power. It's merely insecurity masquerading as confidence. Counterfeit power drains your energy, relies on the fleeting applause of the crowd, and collapses without it. You see it in offices everywhere, that one co-worker who dominates every conversation, wielding their position like a weapon. They might appear powerful, their presence quickly fades the moment they leave the room. True power? It's omnipresent, even when unspoken. It's felt viscerally, not loudly announced. A subtle shift in the atmosphere, a cosmic pull. Consider the teacher who spoke softly, yet commanded your unwavering attention, as opposed to the one who constantly yelled and was quickly forgotten. One peddled an illusion, the other wielded genuine influence. Machiavelli astutely observed centuries ago, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." True influence effectively bridges the gap between outward appearance and inner reality. Reveal just enough to command respect, but meticulously conceal your true depths. Let people sense your aura more than they simply hear your words. And the truly remarkable thing is, you don't need Hollywood looks or a tycoon's immense fortune to exude this quality. I've witnessed students with virtually no money effortlessly control a room with their quiet confidence. And ordinary managers completely outshine flashy CEOs with their unwavering composure. Power isn't mere noise. It's the echo that lingers long after. So, cast aside the myth. Counterfeit power is loud, attention-seeking, and ultimately fleeting. Real power is quiet, alluring, and enduring. The gateway to this unseen power? Cease chasing the spotlight. Instead, focus on cultivating your inner essence. With the illusion of false power completely shattered, let's confront a silent killer of influence: predictability. The vast majority of people talk far too much, mistakenly equating total transparency with trustworthiness. They openly broadcast their emotions, reveal their carefully laid plans, and openly expose their inherent weaknesses. It might feel authentic and genuine in the moment, but it's essentially relinquishing control. Consider this: if your adversaries know precisely what makes you angry, they can easily trigger you whenever they choose. If they know you crave praise and recognition, they can effortlessly manipulate you with empty compliments. If you tend to crumble under pressure, they'll rush you relentlessly to make you stumble. In essence, predictability transforms you into a mere puppet. That's how sharp minds often get wasted, becoming open books, easy to decipher, passions readily on display, and moves easily anticipated. The world readily takes advantage of it. Powerful individuals actively avoid this trap. They remain consistent in their core values, but utterly unpredictable in their tactics. Allies will readily understand your underlying principles, such as honesty, discipline, and a relentless focus on results. But your next move always remains a complete mystery. This very mystery creates caution, respect, and even a healthy dose of fear. And that fear? That's pure, unadulterated leverage. Secrecy isn't synonymous with lying. It's simply being strategically smart. Treat information as you would treat precious gold. Never give it away freely. Share it judiciously. Explain it sparingly. And respond deliberately based on your overarching goals, not simply on your fleeting emotions. Ask yourself honestly, am I oversharing crucial information? Am I over-explaining my actions? Am I overreacting to external events? If the answer to any of these questions is yes, then listen carefully. Every single excess weakens your overall position. Every uncontrolled outburst diminishes respect. Every unnecessary apology weakens your authority. True power resides in the carefully considered pauses, deliberately choosing precisely when to reveal and when to strategically withhold information, consciously controlling the overall flow of information. Understand this fundamental principle. and you'll effortlessly transform from a mere puppet into an intriguing enigma. The power of muted questions. This subtle shift will fundamentally change the way you communicate. The individual asking the questions is invariably the one in control. Most people mistakenly believe that talking excessively makes them appear valuable, that they absolutely must fill every silence to avoid seeming awkward or unintelligent. They worry that if they're not constantly chattering, they'll be perceived as irrelevant or unimportant. But here's the simple truth. Endless chatter doesn't cultivate influence. It actively destroys it. Because talking too much invariably reveals your deepest fears, your inherent flaws, your underlying weaknesses, and your past mistakes. On the other hand, the silent observer, diligently asking purposeful questions, is steadily building a formidable arsenal. That's the true heart of questioning, has a highly effective strategy. Forget about ostentatiously showing off how smart you are. Instead, let others inadvertently reveal themselves. Simply ask, what makes you feel that way? And you'll effortlessly uncover their core values. Why do you see it that way? And you'll meticulously map out their unique worldview. What's the ideal outcome you envision? And you'll deftly expose their overarching goals. Meanwhile, you're actively learning without inadvertently giving anything of yourself away. You're silently gathering valuable information. You're skillfully guiding the conversation with your artfully crafted questions. Both of these subtle actions decisively shift the overall balance in your favor. Imagine the individual who asks just one insightful question, then simply sits back and attentively listens for the next 20 minutes. Who is genuinely in charge of that interaction? Certainly not the one doing all the talking, but rather the one who cleverly steered the conversation with a single, well-placed question. That's the inherent power of muted questions. It also effortlessly demonstrates unshakable confidence. Insecure individuals constantly feel the overwhelming need to prove themselves to others. Confident individuals, on the other hand, readily allow others to do the talking. They're perfectly comfortable with moments of silence, fully understanding that it's not inherently empty. It's simply a stage set for future action. Practice this simple technique diligently. In your next conversation, ask one thoughtful question, then deliberately stop talking. Allow the silence to linger in the air. Carefully observe what subsequently unfolds. In your personal relationships, trade endless explanations for a single, calmly delivered question, and watch their defenses crumble before your very eyes. Questions are remarkably like rudders on a ship. Silence is the chosen course. Together, they empower you to exert control without overtly revealing your hand. Scarcity invariably creates value. Human beings are remarkably simple creatures in many ways. We inherently value what's rare and easily overlook what's common or readily available. What we can't easily have, we obsess over relentlessly. What's always available to us, we tend to simply ignore. Diamonds and gold? They're certainly not the most inherently useful things on Earth. Steel builds towering cities, water sustains our very lives, and oxygen keeps us alive. But rare gems nonetheless inspire vaults, devastating wars, and elaborate coronations. Scarcity relentlessly drives up value. Deliberately apply this principle to yourself. Being constantly available to everyone invariably makes you appear less valuable. You gradually become like wallpaper, always there, but ultimately unnoticed. Instant replies inadvertently teach people that your valuable time is essentially worthless. Always saying yes to every request relentlessly trains people to treat you more like a personal servant than a respected colleague. The simple truth is, giving too much invariably lowers your perceived value. Deliberate scarcity makes you highly prized. This isn't about deliberately being arrogant or playing manipulative games. It's simply about respecting yourself and safeguarding your precious energy. Respond strategically on your own carefully considered terms. Consciously prioritize what truly matters most in your life. Show up only when it's genuinely important and have the greatest possible impact. Think about the highly effective leader who deliberately avoids pointless meetings but completely dominates the crucial ones, potentially changing the entire course of events with a single, powerfully delivered sentence. That's the undeniable magic of scarcity. Or the trusted friend who doesn't spam you with trivial texts but calls only when it genuinely matters. You immediately listen attentively. Value created through strategic absence. In our hyper-connected world, where notifications never cease, scarcity unequivocally reigns supreme. In the overwhelming flood of overexposure, with endless social media posts, constant attendance at events, and non-stop replies, strategically stepping back makes you effortlessly stand out from the crowd. Carefully curate your very essence. Actively discourage assumptions and deliberately create eager anticipation for your invaluable presence. The enduring appeal of gold? It's primarily due to its inherent scarcity. Your attendance, your undivided focus, and your precious energy. It's all fundamentally the same. Strategic essence. Scarcity and essence are interconnected, but nonetheless distinct. Scarcity serves as a warning against overextending yourself. Essence dictates precisely how you choose to deliver your message. A common and easily avoidable mistake, mistakenly thinking that essence inherently means being everywhere, at every meeting, at every social gathering, and at every heated debate. They foolishly spread themselves incredibly thin, relentlessly chasing visibility for the mere sake of it. The harsh reality, being everywhere all the time invariably makes you appear bland and ultimately forgettable. If you're always around, you're essentially nothing more than background noise. Strategic essence, being truly unforgettable in the crucial moments that genuinely matter. It's decidedly not about mere frequency, but rather about the raw power of your overall impact. Imagine a large conference filled with countless half-baked ideas. You patiently listen, quietly. Then, at precisely the right moment, you offer a concise truth that completely changes everything. That's all it takes. End of story. Why? Because it was a pure, powerfully delivered statement, unequivocally, delivered with undeniable force. Machiavelli wisely compared effective leaders to both lions and foxes. The lion embodies raw strength, while the fox represents subtle cunning. Smart leaders effortlessly switch between the two as needed. Strategic essence is essentially about this: using bold command or a subtle strike, depending on the specific circumstances. Beyond the confines of the boardroom, in interpersonal relationships, always being constantly present invariably diminishes your overall impact. Deliberately create space, then strategically make your valuable presence felt at the most critical moments. You'll be easily remembered and universally respected. Discipline essentially requires you to skip the average run-of-the-mill events in favor of the truly amazing ones. Purposefully shorten your conversations to achieve maximum impact. Miss the small talk altogether, so that your eventual arrival makes noticeable waves. Essence. Appearing too often, inevitably blending into the overall scenery. Strategic appearance. turning the surrounding scenery into a veritable legend. Mastering sentiment. If strategic scarcity effectively protects your inherent value and cultivated essence amplifies your unique aura, then skillfully mastering your emotions completely seals your power. Most people mistakenly confuse merely being genuine with reacting impulsively, mistakenly thinking that openly wearing their heart on their sleeve is synonymous with honesty. But uncontrolled emotion isn't genuine strength. It's actually a significant weakness, leaving your vital defenses wide open. Emotions are undeniably useful, but they shouldn't be in charge. Anger effectively warns you that boundaries have been crossed. Fear signals impending danger. Joy highlights what you inherently value, but they're ultimately just information, not commands, merely clues, not outright orders. If you simply obey every impulse, you're easily controlled by external forces. An insult is deliberately intended to provoke a predictable reaction. If you react accordingly, they inevitably win. A boss deliberately creates artificial pressure to make you crack. If you succumb to the pressure, they invariably win. A so-called friend offers insincere praise before subtly asking for a significant favor. If you blindly fall for it, they certainly win. Emotional mastery isn't about being cold or completely shutting down your feelings. It's primarily about pausing strategically between the initial trigger and the subsequent response. Ask yourself honestly, will this specific action genuinely help me reach my stated goals, or will it primarily help them reach theirs? Remaining calm and composed in the midst of chaos is undeniably captivating. Panic invariably shifts to your remarkable poise. Defensiveness versus grounded grace. It's readily obvious who's genuinely in control of the overall situation. Emotional mastery effectively creates certainty. It's not necessarily about being completely emotionless, but rather about not being enslaved by your own volatile emotions. Machiavelli insightfully wrote about repeating cycles. Those who maintain unwavering control over themselves invariably rise above those who are merely impulsive. History clearly shows steady, level-headed strategists are routinely celebrated, while impulsive ones are invariably buried in obscurity. Redefine what it truly means to be real. It's not simply about letting your emotions openly spill out, but rather about consciously choosing carefully considered expressions that genuinely reflect your true essence, skillfully protecting your inherent strength. Genuine self-mastery? It inherently means that no one else can truly control you. The power of silence. Silence isn't mere emptiness or inherent weakness. It's actually a significant advantage. Most people are inherently uncomfortable with silence, feeling the irresistible urge to fill it with superfluous words, flimsy excuses, and constant self-promotion. In that frenzied state, weaknesses are inevitably revealed. Unwarranted worries, hidden schemes, and easily avoidable mistakes are carelessly given away for absolutely nothing. Strategic silence, the often unsung weapon of profound influence. After making a powerful and persuasive point, deliberately stop talking. Allow it to fully sink in. Allow it to deeply resonate with your audience. Silence undeniably amplifies the statement. After carefully baiting the hook, simply wait patiently, maintaining unwavering eye contact. Their internal tension inevitably builds, twists, and ultimately reveals the unvarnished truth. Achieve victory through strategic silence. When utter chaos suddenly erupts, steadfastly remain calm and composed. Silence readily speaks volumes in these critical situations. Contrast is absolutely key. They're rapidly expending valuable energy while you're effortlessly in complete control. Silence is unequivocally the sound of unshakable confidence. Confidence openly announced to all. No need to make unnecessary noise. Composure invariably wins. When a skilled negotiator confidently states their final price, then says absolutely nothing more, the other side invariably squirms uncomfortably and inevitably makes easily avoidable mistakes.
When an effective leader silently listens as people angrily rage, then strikes decisively with laser-like precision, fear is undoubtedly the enemy, and silence is unquestionably the weapon. Never overtly show all your weapons at once. A fatal mistake to avoid, revealing everything much too soon. In our current era of blatant oversharing, with resumes routinely filled with countless achievements, innovative ideas readily laid bare, and valuable assets blatantly displayed for all to see, do you genuinely gain more trust? No. You inadvertently kill any genuine curiosity. Full disclosure? It invariably lets your adversaries accurately predict your future moves. Powerful individuals strategically reveal things in measured layers. Genuine curiosity invariably builds. Strive to be selective, not deliberately deceitful. Reveal just enough to earn genuine respect, but certainly not enough to be easily figured out. Show inherent strength sparingly, always keeping your vital reserves readily available. A highly skilled martial arts master carefully hides their deadliest move for the final, decisive battle. A successful business mogul keeps their best product a closely guarded secret until the perfect moment arrives. In personal relationships, hidden talents invariably create fascination, thereby significantly strengthening interpersonal bonds. Obvious virtues are often admired, however, hidden virtues relentlessly create genuine fascination. Fascination invariably creates power. Let others underestimate you, then effortlessly surprise them. Surprise inevitably creates undeniable strength. Productive confusion, undeniable certainty kills genuine alertness. Ambiguity effectively sharpens it. If you're readily predictable, your subsequent responses are almost automatic, and genuine respect inevitably diminishes. If people can accurately predict your moves, they can readily manipulate your feelings and easily trap you. However, if your core values are unshakably solid and your subsequent actions are reasonably unpredictable, you'll effortlessly keep them constantly engaged. You're not merely being random or inherently indecisive. You have steadfast principles, but your specific methods vary considerably. Genuine respect, unwavering discipline, and a relentless focus on achieving results. Purposefully vary your subsequent responses, sometimes being swift, sometimes deliberately slow, sometimes outwardly welcoming, and sometimes intentionally distant. Strategy, not simply a devious scheme, effectively prevents stagnation and keeps the spark of genuine interest alive. A good teacher skillfully shifts between being kind and being strict, thereby keeping their students consistently sharp. A good CEO deliberately varies their overall pace, thereby keeping their team consistently focused and readily prepared for absolutely anything. A predictable goal, coupled with a playful path to achieve it, a truly magnetic combination. A chess champion. Their eventual victory is essentially certain, but
but their precise strategy remains closely hidden. Unpredictable forces are effectively focused on achieving a clearly defined goal. Carefully consider this. If you're always praising, always attacking, or always pressuring others, you'll inevitably lose your inherent power. Deliberately create productive confusion, based on solid foundations, coupled with flexible flourishes. Now, my friends, we're standing squarely at the starting line of genuine transformation, where the initial seeds of unseen influence are just beginning to sprout and grow. We've skillfully unmasked the pervasive illusions of counterfeit power, systematically dismantled predictability, and armed ourselves with the invaluable tools of strategic silence, scarcity, and a carefully cultivated strategic presence. Now, we're about to move decisively into action. This isn't merely a lecture. It's essentially a forge where you'll personally hammer out your very own brand of undeniable influence. Let's continue this journey, skillfully weaving Machiavelli's timeless cunning into the very fabric of your everyday battles. With the keenly experienced eye of an American who's routinely witnessed this intricate game played across countless boardrooms, dimly lit bars, and fiercely contested battlefields. The path to becoming an effectively hidden force isn't merely a fanciful dream. It's actually a rigorous discipline, and we are now fully prepared to deeply carve it into the very essence of your soul. Let's begin immediately with the vital art of deliberate subtraction, the ruthless pruning away of specific habits that actively drain your power dry. Firmly cast aside any lingering need for constant applause and validation. Every single time you desperately chase an insincere nod or a fleeting like on social media, you unwittingly hand your inherent power over to the fickle crowd. Stop compulsively justifying every single choice you make, as if your very worth is somehow fundamentally dependent on their superficial approval. Over-explaining is essentially a blatant confession of underlying doubt, and underlying doubt inevitably dilutes your overall authority. Cease impulsively reacting to every single jab, every perceived slight, and every minor spark that tempts you to openly explode in anger. Predictable outbursts easily turn you into an easy target, a mere puppet, helplessly dancing to strings skillfully controlled by others. Systematically strip these debilitating habits away, and you'll immediately clear the essential ground for building something far stronger and more enduring. This certainly isn't primarily about becoming cold or deliberately distant from others. It's primarily about reclaiming the crucial space to deliberately act, not merely instinctively react. To carefully choose your battles with the precision of a highly skilled sniper, rather than firing the wild shots of a panicked and inexperienced soldier. Now, actively build upwards. Deliberate addition readily follows subtraction. Actively cultivate specific habits that make invisible dominance completely second nature. Purposefully pause deliberately before you speak. That brief breath, that fleeting heartbeat of meaningful silence, is essentially your personal strategy room, where brilliant plans are invariably born. Readily let others desperately rush to fill the inherent silence, while you, thoughtfully, consider your carefully chosen words. Skillfully ask far more questions than you readily provide answers. Questions are undoubtedly your highly effective spies, carefully slipping through the opponent's readily apparent defenses, diligently gathering vital information while effortlessly steering the overall conversation's natural flow. When you do eventually speak, readily let your carefully chosen words be undeniably sharp, deliberately concise, and completely stripped of any unnecessary fluff. Every single syllable inherently acting as a dart, swiftly aimed at the intended target. Strive to be selectively present whenever possible. Your valuable time, your undivided attention, and your precious energy. These are truly invaluable treasures, not merely trinkets to be casually tossed to just anyone. Purposefully let others actively earn your valuable attention, and they'll invariably value it as they would precious gold. Consistently do this diligently, and you'll easily become a genuine rarity. One who effortlessly influences without groveling, skillfully commands without overtly demanding, and effortlessly shifts the overall energy of any room without uttering a single sound. This sophisticated alchemy of deliberate subtraction and skillful addition readily transforms you into a formidable force that's genuinely felt long before it's overtly seen. Think thoughtfully of the quiet and unassuming general who, with just a single piercing glance, effortlessly silences the inherent chaos of a bustling war room. Or the highly effective negotiator who, by strategically withholding a single word, skillfully makes the other side unwittingly reveal their closely guarded secrets. This is certainly no mere parlor trick. It's a readily available blueprint of significant influence, meticulously built, step by step, through countless disciplined choices. In a world that's virtually drowning in distracting noise, where every desperate soul is constantly shouting loudly for any form of attention, you effortlessly rise above the prevailing fray by actively refusing to join the chaotic fight. You readily become the calm eye of the tumultuous storm, the unseen but powerful current that subtly changes the intended course. But let's now become more practically focused with this invaluable information. Carefully consider your own workplace, that seemingly endless arena of fragile egos and constantly shifting agendas. There's invariably the loudmouth, the one individual who routinely dominates virtually every meeting with sheer volume, rather than with any genuine value. They routinely mistake senseless noise for inherent strength, but their absence invariably goes completely unnoticed. Now, thoughtfully picture yourself. You silently listen, you thoughtfully question, and you patiently wait for the opportune moment. This is the harmonious balance of strategic scarcity and invaluable presence, a carefully constructed symphony of strategic restraint and inherent power. Machiavelli wisely taught us to skillfully blend the inherent roar of the lion with the inherent cunning of the fox. And this is where the elusive fox takes center stage and skillfully shines. The fox doesn't readily reveal its intended path. It adroitly moves silently in the shadows, striking decisively only when the opportune moment is unequivocally right. So too must you readily guard your own vital inner reserves of both strength and energy. Never thoughtlessly show all your carefully guarded cards, certainly not primarily out of any sense of dishonesty, but rather as a carefully considered strategic advantage. Let others casually glimpse your inherent strength, but always carefully keep a hidden ace readily available. In the business world, this might readily mean purposefully holding back your best and most innovative idea until the market is truly and fully ready for it. In personal relationships, it's carefully revealing a hitherto hidden talent or profound insight, only when it serves to significantly deepen the bond. This inherent reserve, this vital layer of carefully constructed mystery, readily keeps others highly intrigued, profoundly respectful, and even subtly wary of you. They inevitably and readily wonder to themselves, what else ultimately lies hidden beneath the surface? That consistent wonder is truly your most powerful form of leverage, a subtle hook, securely embedded in their active minds that steadfastly holds remarkably tight. Now, let's openly discuss the complexities of emotion. That potentially devastating wildfire that can simultaneously either warmly nurture you or utterly destroy you.
Emotional mastery isn't essentially about merely extinguishing inherent feeling. It's essentially about carefully channeling it like a powerful river deliberately flowing through a thoughtfully constructed dam. Your potential anger, your pervasive fear, and your abundant joy, they're essentially just signals, not necessarily direct commands. The skilled manipulator who artfully baits you with a calculated insult, the overbearing boss who deliberately creates false urgency in order to rush you, and the so-called friend who insincerely flatters you in an attempt to readily influence you. They all essentially count on your instinctive knee-jerk reaction. Don't carelessly give it to them readily. Consciously pause for a meaningful moment. Thoughtfully ask yourself, does this particular and predictable reaction truly serve my ultimate purpose and overarching goals? Or does it primarily serve theirs? This isn't fundamentally about suppressing your inherent feelings and emotions. It's primarily about a well-considered and deliberate strategy. When utter chaos suddenly breaks loose and others readily fall apart, your noticeable calm deliberately becomes a valuable beacon to them. People instinctively turn to the steady hand, the clear eye, and the one individual who simply doesn't readily crack under immense pressure. I've readily seen it firsthand in countless crisis rooms and in numerous heated family arguments alike. The one person who effectively stays consistently grounded and emotionally balanced invariably controls the entire room. Silence, too, steadfastly remains your most powerful weapon. In a widespread culture that's inherently addicted to constant chatter, strategic silence is an act of open rebellion. When you effectively make a profound point, deliberately let it fully land with the intended audience. Don't unwittingly weaken its overall impact with unnecessary excuses or superfluous add-ons. When casually baited with a deliberately loaded question, skillfully meet it with a piercing stare, a thoughtful pause, and a silent void that purposefully forces the questioner to squirm noticeably. I distinctly remember a particularly difficult negotiation where a carefully crafted moment of strategic silence after my well-considered offer skillfully made the other side unwittingly give up far more than they had originally planned to. They unwittingly filled the pregnant quiet with their own easily avoidable doubts and their own costly concessions. Silence isn't merely absence, it's deliberately applied pressure, a forceful dynamic that skillfully reshapes the entire room without the overt utterance of a single audible word. In heated arguments, in complex deals, and even in loving relationships, readily let strategic silence consistently do the truly heavy lifting. And what of inherent uncertainty? That consistently productive fog that we openly discussed previously. Actively strive to keep it readily alive and well. Readily let your inviolable principles be akin to a guiding lighthouse, unwavering, clearly visible, and always predictably present. But readily let your subsequent moves be akin to a chess master's, highly varied and largely unpredictable to others. In my many hard-fought years, skillfully navigating the increasingly ruthless world of American business, I've consistently seen and readily learned how predictability inherently diminishes genuine respect. The constantly agreeable colleague who readily gives in to blatant flattery, and the habitually panicking leader who predictably cracks under intense pressure. They consistently and readily become mere pawns to others. But what of the respected individual who's inherently solid in their core values and yet strategically slippery in their specific tactics? They effortlessly command the entire board. Sometimes you're outwardly warm and welcoming, and sometimes you're deliberately cold and distant. Sometimes you're outwardly quick and decisive, and sometimes you're thoughtfully patient and deliberate. This inherent uncertainty isn't indicative of chaos. It's indicative of consistent and skillful control. It effortlessly keeps others consistently alert, fully engaged, and largely unable to readily put you neatly into a convenient box. Readily think of the highly effective teacher whose overall mood skillfully shifts subtly between being firm and being kind, consistently keeping their readily engaged students always on their collective toes. Or the successful entrepreneur who thoughtfully varies their overall pace, being overtly decisive today and thoughtfully contemplative tomorrow, thereby skillfully keeping their vital partners always fully engaged and completely on their toes. Your inherent consistency and overall character, consistently combined with inherent unpredictability and overall action, readily makes you inherently magnetic, a complex puzzle that others can't readily solve, but can't readily ignore. In order to truly become the fully realized hidden force, you must actively strive to live these carefully considered principles on a consistent and daily basis. Systematically subtract the inherent weaknesses, the pervasive need for superficial approval, the pervasive need to over-explain your actions, and the persistent urge to impulsively react. Actively add the inherent strengths, the thoughtful pause, the meaningful question, the deliberately selective presence, and the skillfully precise word. Actively practice this in countless small moments. The very next time you're tempted to vehemently argue a point, deliberately pause and carefully question instead. When you're subsequently tempted to overshare intimate details, consciously hold back and watch any emerging curiosity naturally build. Over a meaningful period of sustained time, these invaluable acts will readily become virtually instinctive, thereby making your invaluable influence largely invisible and yet undeniably real to others. Look carefully around our inherently noisy country, with countless people loudly shouting their inherent worth and overtly begging for fleeting attention. Don't simply readily join them. Instead, strive to be the quiet storm brewing subtly beneath the surface, the largely underestimated power who effortlessly reshapes reality without ever putting on a show for the others. Your tangible results will always speak much louder than any mere loudspeaker ever could. And if all of this carefully considered information truly resonates deeply with you, then say it out loud for the entire world to easily hear in the comments below. I claim strategic dominion. It's essentially your solemn promise to yourself, a meaningful vow to skillfully wield the readily unseen with unwavering precision. Be sure to firmly hit that like button below. Carefully share this invaluable message with someone who's fully ready to deliberately step up. And please subscribe now for more battle-tested strategies. Because, in the final analysis, the most formidable soul readily present in any given room isn't inherently the loudest one. It's inevitably the one that nobody saw coming. And from this meaningful moment forward, that remarkably powerful soul is undoubtedly you.